26-year-old software engineer Victor Day is heading to work. It's a 48-kilometer distance from his home in Najafgarh to his workplace in Noida, a commute he undertakes using the Delhi metro system.
So while generally I take my scooty or my bike to the metro station, I would very much prefer using my cycle or just be able to walk all this way here. But unfortunately, these kind of sustainable solutions aren't viable for me.
Dependence on vehicles for distances that could easily be covered on foot is a predicament most Indians have to deal with.
For almost a good 1.5 kilometer stretch here, there's no footpaths and it's very, very difficult to navigate. I mean, walking is a very far stretch, but I think even cycling is very difficult here. The only choice you have is either to be in a car so that you don't get your feet wet, you don't get yourself dirty.
If you prefer walking or cycling, you are one amongst the 99% of all pedestrians and cyclists in India who risk injury. Poor road safety, the absence of walking infrastructure, encroachment pavements, uncontrolled traffic, dust and pollution are only some of the reasons walking to your destination is often the last choice. If you can afford other ways to get somewhere, and yet about 1/3 of Delhi's population relies on walking. Most of this populace is what are called captive walkers, those who do it for lack of choice. This is Paharganj, a bustling market area in central Delhi, close to the New Delhi railway station. Plenty of hotels makes this a popular neighborhood for tourists. Apart from the stream of shoppers, almost everyone in this crowded area is mostly on foot.
चलने का सवाल है, चलने के लिए तो इंसान चलता ही है। जैसे आप कोई भी बाजार में जाइएगा तो गाड़ी वाड़ी जहाँ चलेगी ना बाजार के अंदर तो रोड जाम होता ही है।
We don't understand where people wants to go, and it goes from the right, from the left, and from front and behind, and wow, it's very difficult.
At more than 500, the capital city of Delhi routinely tops the number of pedestrian deaths in the country each year. Until the 80s, urban areas in India were designed keeping in mind pedestrians, cyclists, and horse-drawn carriages. It was only later, after the boom of the motor industry, that cities started prioritizing cars and motorists. Today, 95% of road infrastructure serves those who drive. Ironically, this makes for only 15% of all commuters in Delhi. That 15% segment in the city has more than 10 million vehicles at its service. 30 to 40% of its pollution is caused because of vehicles.
One of the most important aspects of addressing vehicular pollution is just by reducing requirement of so many vehicles on the road. That can be reduced when people on their own choose to use public transport or use bicycles or walk. Why that doesn't happen? Because we don't have walking infrastructure in place. So if I have to use a bus and negotiate a very poor quality of pedestrian path, I avoid using a bus. Of course, this is not the only factor. Quality of public transport matters a lot, but to begin with, the first step is towards creating a safe, comfortable and risk-free access strips, which is walking.
To prioritize pedestrians, the Delhi Development Authority had come up with guidelines in the form of the walkability policy and the master plan for Delhi. one of their key highlights was redesigning areas within 500 meters of every metro station to encourage walking. In 2019, there was an effort to pedestrianize business hubs that witness high footfall. Restricted vehicular movement and pedestrian-friendly infrastructure made walking feel safe and easy in otherwise difficult areas like Chandni Chowk and Karol Bagh. However, one of the key challenges for projects like these is onboarding stakeholders. The pedestrianization at Karol Bagh had to finally be reversed because of trader opposition. Post-COVID, they feared that restricted access for cars would lead to business losses.
I think Karol Bagh-like experiments should be done. And if there was resistance, talk to people, see how we can meet, come up with some common grounds, meet their demand a little bit, but continue with pedestrianization projects.
Global data has shown how walkable environments can reduce greenhouse emissions by 4 tons a year. Going by that record, even a 15% reduction of vehicles and prioritizing pedestrianization instead could mean more than 1 million tons of less pollution every year.
सभी का स्वागत करता हूं आपके अपने राहगिरी डे पे।
हेल्थ के प्रति मेंटली, इमोशनली और फिजिकली मैं फिट हूँ बिकॉज ऑफ आई एम वॉकिंग सिंस लॉन्ग बैक।
इस इवेंट की खासियत ये है कि इसमें बड़ों से लेके छोटों से लेके ईच एंड एवरीवन कम्स हियर।
इट्स माय फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस बट मुझे देख के बहुत अच्छा लगा।
In Delhi's Dwarka neighborhood, a 2 to 5 kilometer stretch is today out of bounds for vehicles. It is Rahagiri Day, an event organized every 45 days by a civic social foundation where Delhi's citizens reclaim their streets. In an attempt to address unsafe, congested, polluted urban spaces, Rahagiri Foundation also works to implement design changes to streets and road intersections.
We do traffic survey, basically traffic volume survey, origin destination, people when they are where they are coming and their travel pattern. Also we look into land use, it's an industrial area, it's a commercial area, it's a mixed use.
So far, the foundation has redesigned over 50 kilometers of streets and 15 intersections in the capital.
Many intersection has now 0 fatalities and injuries. Few reduced to 50%. The streets has 0 dust pollution now, and the overall CO2 emission has been reduced to almost 30-40%. Just one street, and we need to scale this up.
I used to walk a lot as a kid, and now maybe it's because we have Uber autos and we have a lot more technology, the walking has gone down, but it's also because I feel like as you grow older or as you become a woman, you start feeling more unsafe, so you don't want to walk.
One of the biggest deterrents to walking, particularly for women, as 26-year-old journalist Shreya points out, is the fear of being harassed or attacked. In Delhi, adjudged the most unsafe metropolitan in the country successively, the problem is much more crucial.
I would not feel safe walking around at night alone or even in the evening, so I would just spend a lot of money on autos or cabs for a very walkable distance.
Pedestrian safety is always, security is always better when there are eyes on the streets, when the streets are lively. Lonely streets are more crime prone. Second, at night it means that the lighting aspect becomes extremely important. But at the same time, you have to have enough design solutions that two-wheelers are not coming or bicyclists are not brushing past you, because those are again opportunities for bothering women.
Driving through the capital, it is not difficult to gauge how parts of the city are far better designed for walkability than others. It is more often than not a question of what the demography of a neighborhood is.
So we are here in the heart of New Delhi, in central Delhi. This area is called Gold Market. This is an area where I spent a significant number of years as a child. Around 3 years I stayed here. And as a child I used to walk everywhere because this area is far more walkable than where I currently live in Najafgarh. But in the same city where you live in the outskirts or you live in areas that are not doing so well economically, those people will have to suffer and compromise on the walkability.
I think the time has come that we do understand our concerns about climate change, our concerns about adverse health effects of transport. So the time has come that it's not just about low-income people walking, it's the importance of walking for everyone. The air we breathe is the common air, and that is getting affected because we have not made walkable environment.
Despite policy interventions and a few successful projects, the capital can hardly be considered a pedestrian-friendly city. The master plan for Delhi states that by 2041, 50% of Delhi's developed area will be within walking distance from metro stations. Currently, 44% of roads in Delhi still have no footpaths.
The problem is that all such policies have remained on paper. I think we need a major, I would say institutionalizing, just like we have, a separate institution for metro and we keep on making good quality of metro systems. So have a dedicated team looking into this specifically, continuously monitoring and evaluating and seeing that how you are meeting your walkable goals.
Thanks for watching Eco India. If you like the story, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Scroll.in on YouTube.